like, when were you born?
Where and when I was born?
Yeah.
Born at a very early age. Glasgow. 1954. My dad was Royal Marines. So by the time I was 9, we'd actually moved to Southeast Asia. Grew up in Malaysia, Singapore. Came back to the UK in 1968 when I was 14. And left school at 15. Became an apprentice baker for about 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Then worked for a market gardener for a few months during the summer. Then when it started to get a bit cold, decided it really wasn't the thing for me. Then I started work at the South Dockyard as a yard boy. Going around the dockyard, delivering messages. And then one day they put me into the photographic department, which was where I first got my taste of photography, industrial photography. I prefer candid, more documented photography rather than posed. But also like street photography. You know, just catching moments on the street where, especially when the light's really good. Just buildings, the shapes, reflections off windows. It's the whole, it's just capturing the moment. So we'd spend 2 or 3 days at a time in the darkroom, just getting these photographs out. Then my dad finished his tour in Southeast Asia, came back, so we had to move again. I wasn't quite 16, so I couldn't leave home. Down to Plymouth, a high unemployment area. So the only option left at the time really was I joined up myself. I joined the army. It did bring me out of myself to an extent that, whereas I was always a bit introverted as a kid. Never really liked any attention. It was, if anything pointed, in fact, if anybody pointed a camera at me, I walked the other way. But because basically junior leader training is taking young lads from the age of 16 to 18 when they join the battalions and training them to be NCOs. That's the corporals, the sergeants and the sergeant majors of, the army of the future, as they termed it then. It brought me out of myself, taught me how to use my voice, and it was really about being more confident in yourself, the skill to teach you, how to look after yourself. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, it's basically looking after yourself before you can look after other people, really. I did get posted to Belize, which is back then was known as British Honduras, South America.
What was that like?
Well, it's tropical for a start. It's right in the heart of the Caribbean. I got a scuba diver's ticket out of it. Second largest barrier reef in the world. Absolutely brilliant. Then from there, got sent. We went back to the UK, back to Gillingham in Kent, of all the exotic places. And it was there that I realised that it wasn't really, for me. The training, when I was going through it, was absolutely great, but when it came down to the actual day-to-day of the job, that's when I thought, nah. And I got a bit fed up with it and decided that was enough for me. So after 4 years, after signing for 9, I left the army and been wandering ever since, really. So basically I just travelled around the UK. Got my bag on my back, got my son out, and just hit the road. After a few wanders down south, Plymouth way, I ended up in Lowestoft, of all places, and that's where I started working on the trawlers. Yeah, as I said, when the European quotas started coming in, around about 78, we just weren't making the money anymore. And I heard about the work in Milton Keynes, so took a pop through, and as luck would have it, an aunt of mine was actually living here already, as her partner at the time was working for the Milton Keynes Development Council, corporation, whichever it is. And so basically I started getting into building work, labouring mostly. Then from building work, that's when I moved into warehouse, which would be about 79, whereupon I got married, and 2 years later got divorced, and carried on travelling really. I suppose you could say over the past years, it's been Milton Keynes been more of a base than anywhere else. I've gone and lived in other places. I lived in '86. I went back to Norwich. I went back to Lowestoft, and as luck would have it, some people that I knew back in '76 had just come back from South Africa. They'd been out there working on alternative technology and all that sort of thing. And they were involved in a place called the Seagull Theatre, which I got involved with. And from there, pretty much did everything over that 2 or 3 years, except for directing. It's the only thing I've ever done in theatre. Lighting, set design, set construction, walk-ons. I like Shakespeare, that's quite good actually, because walk on, say a few lines and get killed, brilliant. Then off to the party for the night. From there I went to Norwich. I was at Norwich Arts Centre as a lighting tech. Norwich Arts Centre is one of those places where you get bands on the way up and you get them on the way back down again. So when I was working as a lighting tech at Norwich Arts Centre, we were having bands like Oasis and Placebo come through. Before, so I worked with both of them, but that was before anybody knew who they were. Good fun, it was an excellent time. But basically I just got fed up being broke all the time, being absolutely skint. I mean, it's the way the business is. You're either up there with the people getting really paid, or you're down with everybody else scrabbling for what you can get. Pretty much like life really. And from there I decided, well, I'd head back to Milton Keynes and see what was happening here. Found myself doing gardening work, a bit of warehouse work now and again, forklift driving, that sort of thing. But still the itchy feet, still the move on. Still the need to, right, I've seen enough of this, I need to see something else. But then the situation got a bit bad. Ended up on the streets, so I just basically started foraging, and at the time going to what they call the sit runs, sandwiches and hot soup at night. At least it's something in your stomach, and what those people do is really great, and thank you. You know, even though I've lived in lived in other places. There's nights when I've been out, I've been out to parties and never made it home, and woken up on the street. There have been those days, and so no, it doesn't actually faze me, because during the '70s, I did do a lot of hitchhiking, so I did spend a lot of time at service stations, sometimes 2 days at a time, waiting to get a lift somewhere. So it doesn't really bother me being out. It's because what I normally do is I won't, as I said, I don't do what a lot of other homeless people do, is get the head down on the street in the city. I mean, for one, it's too dangerous. I mean, it's not the first time that even in Milton Keynes people have been picked on and beaten up just for being homeless, just for being there, or being insulted, verbally abused, or that look. It's that look that nobody understands until you actually get it, when somebody walks back and they look at you like they've just scraped you off the bottom of the shoe. It's really what it's like. It's really what it's like. It's disdainful. It's contemptuous. It's as if you don't have the right. You don't have the right to be in front of them. It's just the attitude, the manner that you get from certain types of people. and that can damage your self-esteem and your confidence quite a bit if you let it. But I mean, those people don't know you, so you know, who are they to judge? You know, the same thing could happen to them.
Yeah.
And maybe it should, just to let them know what it's like to be on the other end of it. That's why basically that's one of those areas that if you're homeless and you're hanging about and you're not doing anything and you're just sitting, just waiting for the evening to roll on so you can go down to the soup run. Those are the places I keep away from. I tend to spend most of my time in the parks or in the countryside. I do tend to stay by myself because there's less. You get less problems. Everybody on the street, as we know, has the problems. Different people have different problems. Some it's emotional, some it's psychological, but the majority that you meet tend to be either alcohol or drugs, and those are two worlds that I stay away from. For people that are still, what's the word? I don't want to say entrapped, but kind of like that are entrapped in it. Then the problems that they bring with them become your problems, and so I tend to just stay off on my own. I mean, I'm not antisocial. You know, if I do see any of the guys on the street, you know, I'll stop and have a chat, and you know, fair enough. But other than that, I'll just go my own way. That's as far as that's concerned. Even when it comes to getting my head down at night, I had I've still got my tent in a small wood, well camouflaged. All the time that I was there, most of last year, it'd only be the odd dog that would come through, having a sniff around and then wander off again. Nobody bothered me.
So you're saying, so you think it's the first time someone's been in here?
Yeah. And I've had a good poke around, a good dig. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get those those sleeping bags have got they're gonna need a good wash. Yeah, it's been getting damp in here. You see it?
Yeah.
Obviously with everything that's well, the thing about waking up in the morning, I found, is because I was in amongst all the trees, even at the height of summer, it's actually quite cold in here.
Was it?
But then the strange thing was, during the winter, it was actually quite warm in here.
Oh wow.
But once I got out from under the trees, you know, the sun would be beaming down. Really hot day, and it was the wonderful thing about it was because I didn't have to be anywhere, I didn't have to go anywhere. There was that sense of freedom where I wasn't answerable to the system, and that's an incredible thing. It comes down to to my mind, it comes down to humanity. If you didn't have beggars, people wouldn't be able to show humanity. So, in a way, they provide a service. You know, it's not that I've got anything against begging, it's just that I can't do it myself. I just can't do it. And as I said, I'm not a thief either. I can't steal. I can't, you know, I've been hungry, and I've walked into stores. And I'm talking about well before the, all the security that they have these days. And I just couldn't do it. I had a tin of ham in front of me, a big tin of ham, one of those big oval ones, big tin of ham in front of me, and I just couldn't do it. I think because a few times that I did steal when I was a kid, petty stuff, I just felt so bad about it. And 9 times out of 10 I always got caught anyway, so... So, you know, I'm not Yeah, I'm not one of those people that can get away with that sort of thing.
Sly fingers. How do you feel, kind of personally, when you do see like other homeless people, like in kind of, I don't know, Central Milton Keynes, the train station, or like, you know, what are the feelings that you get, or what do you think when you see them?
My first, honestly, I'm thinking, poor bastard. You know, how, why, what's the situation? I think everybody should do it for a fortnight. Everybody should be made to do it for a fortnight. Be homeless for a fortnight. You can't be a politician until you've been homeless. But then with some, as I say, you know, you get to talk to and you realise that it's someone that whose problem, it's only they can sort it out themselves. Okay, you know, fair enough, get a bit of help to do it, but it comes down to the person themselves, and in the end, if they're not prepared to help themselves when other people are helping them, then, well, you can't force it on them. You can't make them do it. But it's a matter of realising that ultimately you've got to do it for yourself. That's really it. And if they're not at the stage, or they're not ready to do that, then they're just going to carry on going round the same circles. And that's all it is. It's just round and round and round, round in the same circle. I suppose there's some sort of comfort in that, you know, in at least they know what they're going to be doing tomorrow, you know. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe that is their comfort zone. Or
Is it, over time, can you get actually quite comfortable with kind of that lifestyle?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. I mean, during the summer, because I'd gone off on I was just angry, and I thought, to hell with the system. I've had enough of it. To hell with the system. You know, I'll live by how. So, you know, I had my tent, sleeping bags, you know, all the kit I needed. Yeah, it gives you a completely different perspective. You can actually see how people are being manipulated. You know, not, you know, by obviously, you know, the government, the media. This is how you should be living. You know, look at adverts these days. What's it all about? Obviously, you know, they're selling things, but it's all about possessionism. It's all about, you have to have this to be happy. But then as soon as you get that, you want something else. We desire this, we want that, and we're not going to be happy unless we get what we desire. But once we get it, then we want something else. A new desire enters. And people are running their lives after these desires. When if you learn to curb that, and work on what you need rather than what you want, life not only is a lot simpler, but it can be a lot happier. You know, I had my tent, sleeping bags, you know, all the kit I needed down there, you know, Phil, thank you, Phil. Yeah, and so it was basically down to food. It was just basically down to food and feeding myself, which, as I said, I was foraging. It basically meant I was eating out of the bins, as well as, you know, the soup run. But every now and again, I'd have a little bit of luck. You know, you find the odd tenner on the street, which happens, I know. But there's other guys out there that I know who beg, but even when they're not begging, people will walk up and hand them £20 notes. You know, there's more than once, you know, from people that I've known last year that have been on the streets, who just seem to have that. They just sit there, and people could come up and give them money. You know, £20 note at a time. It's I mean, it was a hard road. I mean, it's not easy surviving on the streets. Really isn't. But then again, I was a lot better off than a lot of people, because of the backup and the support that I was getting from friends now, who, you know, volunteers at the winter night shelter. So yeah, they did ease my path quite a bit. They really did help.
good.
You know, from the tent to the sleeping bags, the camp bed, and you know, just other little things when you know they'd appear. Bring me some food, and just that contact, It
It's important.
it really did help.
Yeah.
But as it is every year here, it's the weather. And I'm 62 now, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And when the weather starts to get cold, that's when it starts to tell. So through Daniel Hayden again, every trick in the book he used, even emotional blackmail to get me back into the night shelter this year, which he succeeded in doing. He just nagged constantly. Till the end I gave up. And then through it, again from December up until the 5th of January was when the placement came through for where I am now, which is an organisation called Amicus, and it centres on ex-service people, ex-military, who are homeless, and gives them a base where they can make a fresh start. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's no fun when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away. Wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's going to stay. Wonder this time when she's gone. This house just ain't a home. Anytime she goes away. I don't know, I know, I know, I know. I don't know, I know, I know, I know. I don't know, no, no, no. I don't know, no. I'll leave damn girl alone, but there ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no fun when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.